India is sitting on a massive metabolic bomb. Over 10 crores of people in India have diabetes today, and crores many more are in the pre-diabetic stage and completely unaware about this. You might be one of the millions waking up every morning strictly avoiding sugar, going for a 30 minutes walk and taking your medication right on schedule. But year after year, your HbA1c stubbornly refuses to drop. The terrifying scientific truth is that your insulin resistance is getting measurably worse every single day. Why is this happening? Because the standard advice we follow only manages the bloodstream consequence, which is elevated blood sugar. It completely ignores the biological root cause operating at the cellular level. Let us look at the exact science. Whenever you eat, your pancreas releases insulin, which acts as a key that helps blood glucose move from your blood into your cells. Insulin resistance means the receptor on your cell surface is malfunctioning. Your pancreas is producing the key, but the internal cellular signal is jammed. Medical literature shows that two specific biological disruptors jam this signal. First, chronic low-grade inflammation driven by processed foods. Inflammatory cytokines directly interfere with your insulin receptor signaling. Secondly, the accumulation of toxic lipid compounds called as ceramides inside your muscle and liver cells. Ceramides directly block the central switch in your insulin signaling cascade. When that switch is blocked, glucose stays trapped in your bloodstream. Standard medications tell your liver to release less glucose, which manages the number on your machine. But they do not reduce ceramide accumulation and they do not stop the inflammatory cytokines attacking your cell. Today I'm going to reveal 5 scientifically proven foods that address the exact cellular mechanisms standard protocols do not touch. We will look at the clinical data, the biological pathways they activate, and the exact preparation mistakes that destroy their benefits. So let's get started. On number 5, we have spinach, that is Palak. The enzymatic activator, the biological connection between spinach and your insulin resistance, runs directly through a mineral called as magnesium. The connection between magnesium deficiency and insulin resistance is among the most heavily documented relationships in metabolic medicine. When insulin binds to your cell, a specific enzymatic step called as tyrosine kinase activity requires magnesium to activate the signaling process. When your body is deficient, this cascade fires very weakly. Medical reviews published in diabetes journals show that up to 68% of patients with poorly controlled type 2 diabetes have a documented magnesium deficiency. Just 1 cup of cooked spinach delivers a massive portion of your daily magnesium requirement, correcting the enzymatic deficit that repairs your receptor activation. Published clinical studies prove that consuming leafy greens daily improves insulin sensitivity by up to 12.7% over just 6 weeks. The biggest mistake people make is cooking spinach into a heavy, oily gravy. To get maximum biological benefit, briefly boil or steam the leaves, drain the excess water and eat it alongside your morning protein to establish a strong magnesium baseline for the day. On number 4, we have okra, that is Bhindi. The glucose transporter, most people actively try to avoid the thick, slimy substance inside Bhindi. But that mucilate gel is actually one of the most thoroughly documented natural insulin compounds available in the peer-reviewed literature. When you eat okra, that exact gel physically slows down the gastric emptying and forms a viscous barrier in your small intestine. This instantly reduces the post-meal sugar surge that drives the inflammatory cascade. Furthermore, okra contains a highly potent flavonoid called as myricetin. Cell studies confirm that myricetin actively forces your cells to open their glucose channels by activating a transporter called as GLUT4. This allows your cell to absorb glucose even when the primary insulin receptor is damaged. A meta-analysis of 6 randomized controlled trials showed that okra supplementation significantly dropped fasting blood glucose by 21.72 mg per deciliter. The way you cook this changes everything. In India, we love to deep fry our bhindi until it is extremely crispy and dry. When you do that, you completely destroy the therapeutic gel and the myricetin. You must roast it at moderate heat or stir fry it very briefly so that the mucilage remains perfectly intact. On number 3 is bitter melon, that is Karela. This vegetable has the most extensively published clinical evidence in peer-reviewed literature for blood sugar control. Bitter melon actively targets AMPK, which is the exact same cellular energy sensor that many modern medications target. It contains a compound called as polypeptide P, which directly binds to your insulin receptors and mimics the action of insulin itself. Another compound called as charantin regulates your insulin sensitivity at the actual gene expression level. A 12-week randomized placebo-controlled study showed that bitter melon extract significantly suppresses glucagon levels and reduces overall glycated hemoglobin in older subjects. It gives you 3 separate insulin sensitizing mechanisms from one single vegetable. To eat it correctly, you do not need to drink massive glasses of extremely bitter raw juice that upsets your stomach. The bitterness reduces significantly if you slice it thin, remove the seeds and slightly stir fry it with cold pressed oil and some garlic. You can easily integrate this into your dinner routine 3 to 4 times a week. On number 2 is broccoli. This vegetable does something to your insulin resistance that absolutely no other common food can do. Remember those ceramides, the toxic lipid molecules that accumulate in your liver and muscles to block your insulin signaling? Broccoli contains a powerful compound called as sulforaphane, which directly inhibits the exact gene responsible for producing ceramides. Less ceramide production means your insulin signaling cascade can finally fire completely, immediately improving glucose uptake from your blood. A 4-week double-blind placebo-controlled clinical study giving patients broccoli sprout powder resulted in massive 14.2% reduction in their actually insulin resistance index. But almost everyone prepares broccoli completely wrong. The active compound requires an enzyme called as myrosinase to activate. If you chop broccoli and throw it straight into boiling water or a hot pan, the heat destroys the enzyme instantly. This reduces your sulforaphane yield by up to 90%. Here is the biological rule you must follow. Chop it, leave it in your kitchen counter for exactly 10 minutes to allow the chemical conversion to happen, and then lightly steam or stir fry it. On number 1 is Daruharidra, that is berberine, which is also called as Indian barberry. This is not a traditional vegetable but a highly potent plant compound derived from the root used in Ayurvedic medicines for over 3000 years. In Western clinical literature, its active compound is universally studied as berberine. This root extract is an absolute metabolic powerhouse. It activates the AMPK pathway, forcing your muscle cells to take up glucose independently of your broken insulin receptors. It even stops complex carbohydrates from breaking down into sugar in your small intestine. An umbrella meta-analysis pulling 46 randomized controlled trials confirmed it significantly reduces fasting blood sugar, fasting insulin levels, and severe inflammatory markers like TNF-alpha and C-reactive protein. You can find berberine powder at Ayurvedic stores or use a high-quality berberine supplement. However, because it significantly lowers blood glucose through multiple active pathways, you must monitor your fasting levels closely when you start taking it. If you combine it with strict dietary changes, your blood sugar can drop rapidly and you may need to consult a doctor to just adjust your standard protocols. I want to make the science very clear. These foods do not replace your prescribed treatments. They are the missing biological half of a treatment plan that currently manages your symptoms without addressing the cellular root cause. However, you will cancel out all these beautiful biological benefits if you eat a diet high in ultra-processed foods. You cannot counteract a breakfast full of packaged breads and sugary tea with a bowl of vegetables. The vegetables fight the inflammation, but the processed food additives continuously restock it. Your metabolism did not break overnight and it will not heal overnight. But if you start tracking your blood sugar every morning, ask your doctor how to check your HOMA-IR to measure your actual insulin resistance and include these foods consistently, you will begin to fix the root cause instead of just managing the numbers. If this biological breakdown opened your eyes today, my new book Reversing Diabetes is now live on Amazon. Go and grab your copy. It's going to give you even more insights. And as we always say, it's never just a diet, it's always a lifestyle. So stay healthy, stay fit, stay grateful and stay blessed.